Oklahoma remains on pace to set a new record for the number and magnitude of earthquakes this year. Members of the House and Senate have now been told that there is even a strong possibility of the state being hit by another magnitude 5 or greater tremor. But tucked inside the report from the Oklahoma Geological Survey is one indicator that shows a recent drop-off in the number of daily earthquakes, as we hear in this ONR Extra.
This is a chart showing the number of earthquakes on every day for the last 2 years up to, like I said, I think earlier this week. And you can see there's a lot of variability. There actually were quite a few days, where'd my pointer go? There it is. It's not showing up very well. Quite a few days in 2014 where there were no earthquakes in Oklahoma. That was kind of, I thought we'd move beyond that. But in 2015, you can see there were very few days when there were 0 earthquakes, and there are days when there are as many as 15. Now, a number of those are small. This, I think, is like 3,000 or 4,000 earthquakes tabulated in this chart. The number that exceed magnitude 3, which is normally the threshold for people really feeling it, the last number I got off the web was 722. So well over 700, could end up by the end of the year with somewhere between 900 and even perhaps 1,000 earthquakes. But you sort of see on this chart that it looks like there's a bit of a dip. And if you blow up the scale a bit, oh, wrong button, there we go. If you expand the scale a bit, you can see that the 90-day average, the dark orange line up there, is actually coming down quite a bit from getting close to 5 back in the summer to somewhere in the range of 3.5 or so today. It's not time to declare victory and go home by any means, but it is an interesting development, and we'll be working with the Corporation Commission to look at the relationship to the injection numbers and see if we can understand what's driving that. Can we localize that enough to say it's the actions that the Corporation Commission has taken? There are other possible explanations, but we really have to sort of look at the water data, maybe even look at the production data to understand what's driving that. And it's even visible in the 180-day rolling average. So something's happening, some action is occurring, and we don't yet know how to explain that, what's really driving it. These earthquakes since 2012 tend to emphasize it's a steeper slope. That means there are more small earthquakes and fewer large earthquakes. Nevertheless, keep having earthquakes for long enough, you're likely to get one that's a magnitude 5. And Austin put up an algorithm that gets updated regularly on our webpage that calculates what that risk is. It's an estimate. It's not a prediction, but it does give you these values for how likely are we to have an earthquake of a magnitude 3, 4, 5, 6 in the next 10 days, in the next 4 years. And some of those numbers are a little unnerving. I mean, the idea that we have such a high likelihood of a magnitude 5 is something that one has to be concerned about. Those numbers change every few days as the computer updates things, and I'm interested to see if this slow downturn does anything for that, or how long it takes to show up in some of these calculations. But it's sobering. There's no place else that has earthquakes like this. This is a really unusual case, and that's partly because of these very high water cut wells and the large volume. We're disposing of somewhere beyond 3 million barrels a day of water. If it were going the other direction and it were petroleum, we'd be a major producer in the world. We're doing it in reverse with water. We're pretty certain that this is induced seismicity, that there's no natural cause that could reasonably explain this. That you are highly unlikely. And we haven't seen anybody put forward an alternative explanation. I got one of my geologists has an alternative idea about how injection into the Arbuckle creates those earthquakes, but it's still fundamentally going to be about deep injection and changes in the stress field caused by injection.
Dr. Boak told the lawmakers there is a 51% chance of a magnitude 5.0 earthquake occurring within the next year. The Corporation Commission told lawmakers 192 disposal wells have reduced their depth of injection, 19 more are planning to plug back, and 53 more are under review.